Are you looking for some hauntingly frightful reads? Have you been wanting to read about some characters that are up to no good? Then step right up, because I've got some spooktacular reads to recommend you today. What up, reader fam? Today I am bringing you 5 Halloween book recommendations. Now, none of these books are necessarily terrifying, but they are books that kind of give off a Halloween vibe. And I don't know about you guys, but during the month of October, those are the books that I want to be reading. So today I'm going to be recommending you 5 books that kind of give off that feeling. The first book I have here is Nightmares by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. Now, this is actually the first book in a middle grade trilogy. This story follows this boy by the name of Charlie, and his mom passed away, and his dad remarries this woman who he finds to be a witch. Like, he looks at her and he's like, "You are a witch." And not in the fact that he hates her, but in the fact that he thinks she's a literal witch. Charlie, his younger brother, and his father move into this mansion with his new stepmother, and he is convinced that this place is haunted because every night when he goes to sleep, he has these terrifying nightmares. It's when his nightmares begin to slip into reality that he thinks he must do something about this. He's gotta get to the bottom of this nightmare situation right away. This book had so many elements in it that just reminded me of Halloween. We've got this haunted mansion feeling, we've got these nightmares coming into play, but not only that, we've got things like witches, we've got ghouls, and we've got monsters. So all these things come together and it just makes you feel like you're reading about this Halloween world, basically. Something that I loved about this book was not only the fact that it definitely goes in a creepy direction, it kind of also went in this really deep and meaningful direction that I was not expecting at all. It really ends up being a story about facing your fears head on and not being afraid to face those fears, recognizing that it'll be hard, but realizing in the end that it's going to be okay. Another big reason why I love this story is because there were illustrations in the story. If you know me, you know I love illustrations in books, and this one had some excellent illustrations in it. In fact, I recommend it for the illustrations alone. Next up on my list is one that I've talked about quite a bit recently, and that is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. This book screams Halloween. Like, you open it and you can just hear it screaming Halloween. Halloween! Halloween! You hear that? This story is about this boy by the name of Prosper Redding who one day finds out that he has a demon living inside of him. And this is because his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather made a deal with a demon because he wanted to have success and all these great things for his family, and in order to do that, he had to make a deal with this demon. But Grandpa didn't stick to the deal, he broke the deal, leaving Prosper to deal with the consequences, and now having this freaking demon living inside of him. So throughout this story, Prosper must figure out how to get that demon outside of his body. If I was Prosper, I would be freaking out! I was really surprised by how dark this book went. Obviously, when you read the description and you find out that a demon is involved, you know it's probably going to be dark, but I just kind of assumed because this was a middle grade book that it wouldn't be as dark as it was. But holy pumpkin patch, I was completely wrong about that. It goes in a really dark direction, and I really liked that about it. And I also liked the fact that it was just such a complex story, which is something that I should be used to by now with Alexandra Bracken, because she does that with all of her books. Like the Passenger duology, man, that storyline was so complex. And this is in the same vein as that when it comes to complicated storylines. I think the element that really won me over for this book was the demon itself, which I honestly thought going into this book that he would be my least favorite character, but he was a sassy demon. Like, he was so funny throughout this whole story. Alistair the demon just did a fantastic job of delivering the humor for this book. This is one that I definitely recommend checking out for the Halloween season. Next up is a book that will probably have you guys rolling your eyes at me, but roll your eyes away, I'm gonna recommend it anyways. I think that this book is the perfect one for this time of the year, and that is Because You Love to Hate Me. 13 stories about villains by 13 authors with features from 13 booktubers, including me. Hey! There are so many fascinating stories about villains. Leave the booktubers out of it. The stories alone are fantastic. This would actually be a perfect book to read like leading up to Halloween, because you could like read a story a day before Halloween. Kind of like back before we had Freeform and it was ABC Family and they did like 13 nights of Halloween and they did like 13 nights of Halloween movies and TV shows and whatnot. You could do 13 nights of 13 villainous stories. Next up, I have a rather monstrous read, and that is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, one of my all-time favorite authors. As if you guys didn't know that. This story is set in a place where violent acts breed monsters. It's a city that's divided. We've got the north side and the south side, and there's a truce between the two, but that truce is beginning to crumble, and this is where things get a little bit cray-cray. I love Victoria Schwab's writing so much, and I feel like she really brought this kind of eerie style to this duology. Like, the overall overall atmosphere is just very dark and creepy. But not only that, the world that she created in this duology is just so brutal. In this book, we have two different perspectives. We've got Kate, who is a human, and then we've got August, who is a monster. And both of these perspectives are just so interesting throughout this story. And these two perspectives are just very interesting because they're very different. We've got Kate over here, who kind of wants to be more monstrous. She wants to be kind of ruthless and kick butt, I guess you could say. And then we've got August over here, who is a monster, but kind of doesn't want to be a monster. One of my favorite things in this story is actually one of the aspects that comes into play with August's character, and that is the fact that he can steal a soul when he plays a song. I am shook. Even though I know it is kind of a pain for August and he doesn't really want to be a monster, I love when that element comes into play. I highly recommend this book. Even if you don't read it during the Halloween time, it's just a book that you should read because it's great. So I've shared with you 2 middle grade books and I've shared 2 young adult books, and now I'm going to share an adult book, and that is Night Film. I feel like a lot of people recommend this book for the fall time, and I'm going to agree with them today. I feel like this is the perfect read for the fall time. This story is about a girl who is found dead, and her death is ruled out as a suicide, but this journalist just isn't buying into that, and so he decides to kind of dig deeper into her death. And as he starts to dig into Ashley's case and learn more about her, he finds out that her father was actually like this horror movie director, and he thinks that that is in some way connected to her death. This director, though, just kind of has drifted out of the public eye, and so our journalist just kind of becomes obsessed with this case, and he must learn more about this director and learn more about Ashley's life, and in some way connect the dots to kind of figure out if there was more to Ashley's death than what was ruled out. I will say there was one thing that I didn't like about this book, and that's the fact that it was super hecka long, and in some cases I felt like it was unnecessarily long. This story is just so gripping right from the start. The characters are just so determined to get to the bottom of this case, and you, in reading the story, become so determined just like them, so you're just like furiously reading the book, trying to figure out everything. The story brings in this really awesome visual element as well. There's lots of like mixed media and pictures throughout it. Of course, when I flip through the book, none of the pictures are appearing. There they are. As you guys know, I love that visual element. I will say that I wasn't super satisfied with the end result of this book, and that is another fault to this book, because you're kind of reading the book expecting to have this like really big, like life-changing reveal at the end, and then I feel like the ending kind of fell flat a little bit. But I still consider this a worth it read because like leading up to that point, it's so epic. There's so many awesome things happening in the story. So that's why I am still definitely recommending this book, even though it does have its faults. Every book has issues. I just wanted to point out this book's issues because I don't want to recommend it and then have an element that you guys just completely hate and then you come back and just hate on me in this video. But for the most part, I love this book and I would definitely recommend checking it out. So those are 5 books that I recommend checking out during this Halloween time. While planning this video, I kind of realized that I haven't read that many like spooky books. So if you guys have any recommendations, hit me up in the comments. Hit me up with some of your spooky book recommendations. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I post videos frequently on this channel, so if you want to be notified as to when I post new videos, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and click the little bell icon and you'll be notified as to when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon with a new video. Bye, chew.